I'll create a new package or new class. I'll give it I'll create a class lastborn. Now, there are situations where you want a particular class to be the only copy or the only existing one in the whole application, on the whole application development. Lastborns are only one. You don't have any other copy. No one comes after them. They end the cycle. So there are situations where you want a class, you don't want anyone to extend from that class. You want that class to be the only copy there. They make them what? Final. So final classes are nothing but what? A class that cannot be what? Extended, but they can be instantiated. It's the opposite of abstract class. While abstract class is a class that can be extended, but it cannot be what? Instantiated. Final class is a class that cannot be extended, but it can be what? Instantiated. So to create a final class, you just put a final keyword before the class. Final. So that's the final. Final is final. That's the last. So that's the last one. So let me just give you some method. So I've created one method. My head they join me. I'll create a test. I'll create a test class for it. Then I'll create another class. I want to be last. I want to be last. Now, before I go there to that I want to be last, I'll create. I didn't check. Then I'll create an instance of the last born. So last born is equal to new last born. I want to give it a different name. K3. So K3 dot what? Mr. Muyamede. So when you run this final, you see my head the what? Join me. Coming from the what? The final class, last born. Now, usually mistake child usually come. So there's a mistake child trying to come. It has been discovered 3 months. But it wasn't planned. There's already a last born. So this mistake child, which is not yet out, is trying to extend from the what? The last born. But the last born is telling him that I want to be last, cannot subscribe to the final class last born. The last born is saying no. When I came, I took out the womb. So even when you go, there's nothing for you, there's no place for you to live. So either you go for other options. No, like other options. and just advise yourself. So you can see that we can't extend from what? A final class. That's a final class. Now, for final methods, they can be used anywhere. So I'm creating a human class. Human class. A method no override. Another method, change me. Then I'll create another class. Dwarf, which extends from human. I'll put they're in different packages, so I'll just move this one to the same package. So now you have this human class and the dwarf class. By default, when you extend from one class, you have access to what? All the methods. So let me create a test. Then in the test, I will test my dwarf class. So let me just give the method something. I am a final method. Not made it final yet. I am no override. Then when you come here, feel free to modify me. So I have these two methods. I'll go to my test class and I'll create an instance of the dwarf class, which is of type what? Dwarf is of type what? Human. Dwarf is of type what? Human, because it extends human. So I can create human, man, short man is equal to new dwarf. Do you understand this? Human is human. Dwarf is a dwarf. Dwarf is a human. So a human can point to a dwarf. We'll come to it. Let me just make this one dwarf. Or you come to the polymorphism part. So this one is okay. This is known, right? So short man dot change me. Then short man dot no override. When you run these two, you get what? Feel free to modify me coming from what they change me. I am no override method. You know, even though this is coming from what? The dwarf class. And this dwarf is inheriting from what? The human. In the dwarf, I want to change the change me method. So when I just use the override keyword, and these things we call them annotations. The @ symbol, we call them annotations. They have a special meaning. This is what they do. During runtime, they inject code into the application. So that our override is a method somewhere which is being called during the execution of this application. So that the JVM will interpret that this is overriding a superclass. So we call them annotations. We'll see them a lot. So they change me. Yesterday we discussed the use of the super keyword to do what? To call the what? Constructors of what? Superclass. Now there are cases to where you want to call a method in your what? Superclass. If you want to call a method in your superclass, this time it's just what? Super dot the name of the method. Anytime you are moving up one step to your ancestor, use the word super. If you are calling the constructor, just call it the name. When you are calling the constructor, it's the same as what? The name of the class. So if you are calling the method in the class, super dot the name of the what? The method. So if you are in a subclass and you are calling the superclass, use the super dot the name of that method that you want to call. So this one is calling the superclass, but that's not what I want. I will delete it and give it what I want. Dwarfs change every night. Dwarfs change every night. So this dwarfs change every night. Then no override. This one, I will not change it. I will let it call the what? The super one. The super what? No override. So I'll go back to the same test class. Run. Dwarfs change every night. This one is still calling the what? The super class what? Method. There are situations where some methods you don't want them to be changed, irrespective of where they find themselves. Like for instance, tax rate. Assuming you are building some banking application, the tax rate should be fixed. Not just the rate, but you want a method which calculates the tax rate. You don't want anyone to what? Change it. So you define it in one class. Now if you want to make a method unchangeable, you just have to make that method final. So if I don't want anyone to change this, I want the implementation to always be this. I just have to add the final keyword before the method. Now once I add the final keyword, I'll get an error here. It tells me cannot override the final method from the what? Human class. So final methods are nothing but what? Methods which cannot be what? Overridden in the subclass. They are methods which cannot be what? Overridden in the subclass. So we can have final methods in what? Abstract classes too. We can just even make this one abstract. When you make this one abstract, what do we need? And there's an abstract keyword. It becomes an abstract. But there's no abstract method. It needs an abstract method to become a fully abstract class. So abstract void none. Now because it's abstract, I'm supposed to do what? Implement the what? Unimplemented methods. So to implement this method. But this method here is final. And final methods cannot be changed. Cannot be modified. Once you declare a method final, it is fixed. The implementation is fixed. And I said we use the super keyword to call what? The super class what? method. So super dot. When you see super dot, it means you are calling a super class what? Method. Anytime you see super with just a normal parenthesis, you are calling the what? Constructor.